just as well known for the Crypto Coin Show on YouTube. So I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Ashton. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Yusuf. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure's all ours. So to kick off, tell us a little bit about yourself and Eventchain and what you do alongside that with your YouTube channel.
Definitely. So Eventchain is a blockchain secured event ticketing platform that I co-founded with my father in 2017. We'd actually been involved in the cryptocurrency industry since 2013, around the dawn of Aetherium, and we're so excited to try and help promote blockchain communities and use cases in different industries. But we realized it was pretty early at that time to be doing so, because there wasn't a lot of capital injection in the market. The market cap was like 10 million or something ridiculous, and Aetherium was like 30 cents, and ICOs didn't really exist yet. So we created a platform called Biz Magazine, where we were promoting blockchain companies through a magazine. And let me tell you, that was a lot of work for the return, because there weren't a lot of eyes in the crypto space yet. So we managed to figure that out, finding our little niche, and then we turned it into a YouTube channel called Crypto Coin Show, where I still do videos today. I think I have a video today. I do about 3 to 5 videos per week. We've done about 500 interviews on the channel, and that's our main media news outlet. And we ran that for 2013, 14, 15, 16. In 2017, we thought, hey, there's so much going on now. We've made it through, the dead zone, and we decided to start our own project. So we started Eventchain, raised some capital from that, built a product, and now we're ticketing with blockchain secured tickets in 27 different countries. And we're continuing to grow that platform out right now.
And so staying with the subject of how we're growing right now, a lot's happening right now within the crypto space amidst the buzz of the halvening in a few days' time. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's been so crazy. I've been watching the markets very intently in the last few months here, since Bitcoin has risen 134% since March 15th. So coming on a month and a little bit, it's done a huge gain, and it's right at this turning point right now where it could bump up really quickly to, yesterday it was 9,200 all the way up to 10,000, and the week before that it was like 7,000. So it seems that the trend is your friend, and Bitcoin continues to rise. It's definitely a great safe haven asset for the economic volatility that's going on right now. And it continues to go up, but when it goes up really quickly, it can also go down even quicker. So it's definitely good to look at your entry and exit points as an important factor of whether you're going to go into Bitcoin. Not financial advice, but definitely do your own research and don't buy it at the top and sell it at the bottom. But it's definitely been a lot of eyes on crypto, and I think there's a lot more buzz than there even was potentially from December of 2017. So which is super exciting, because Binance, Coinbase, last week they broke their records for the amount of volume traded in one day. When Bitcoin went from like 7,000 to like 8,000 in a day, it did $1,000 candle single-handedly. But I was watching a video recently talking about what happens after $1,000 candles, and usually there's some retracement, but it could come today, could come next week, could come next month. Never really know.
And so you mentioned the buzz of 2017 where it hits a high of $90,000. Do you think there's the potential for this halvening to surpass that, or maybe nothing will change? It might just take a few months for it to finally shoot past its records and so on?
Yeah, good question. I think the halvening definitely is playing a small part in the rise, but I think the trend of going up and the economic volatility in the American markets may have, every little part plays a role in Bitcoin's price. I don't think that the halvening event that's happening, in a few days here, will make Bitcoin go to above 19,000 just from this event. there's definitely needs to be a retracement before then, because it's risen so quickly. Even, in the past 2 weeks, it's gone up 30 to 40%. So we'll definitely need some corrections before we take a straight line to 19,000. But I'm very optimistic that it will be beyond that price, in the next, it could go above 19,000 throughout 2020. But if not, the next year, eventually it's going to go above that price. So I think that we'll continue to go up, at most 10,000 to 12,000. We just hit 10,000. So 10,500 to 12,000. And then I could see a correction to 6,000 or 7,000, even momentarily, before we continue up. But, the trend is up. So we're heading towards that direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you touched on the point where it was a safe haven asset, especially at a time where, everything concerning the economy seems to be on a downturn. We've had reports today of unemployment being at its largest since the Great Depression, or like post World War II. So do you think that with that, alongside, currency collapses in Lebanon and obviously what happened in Venezuela that's still ongoing, do you think that this is the flood into cryptocurrencies that is going to spike this price up? Or do you think that there's going to be the time where people are going to think, what, actually, this is cryptocurrency's time. It's finally now, especially when it comes to mass adoption.
Yeah, I just had a great conversation on my YouTube channel with Matty Greenspan from Quantum Economics, and he's an economist at heart. And we dove into Bitcoin in the economy pretty deeply, and he understands much better than me following the markets. He worked at eToro for the past 7 or 8 years, and he was talking about how these countries that are in turmoil, like Venezuela, there's a huge premium to buy Bitcoin in those countries, because people that bought Bitcoin at 20,000 in Venezuela, and even if they bought it at 20,000 and they sold at 3,000, the worst possible outcome, they would still be ahead than if they just kept their Venezuelan Bolivar dollars. So, there's obviously a need for them to move to more of a safer asset. But I don't think, I think that those are more isolated within the country. The price of Bitcoin has a premium in some countries where everyone's trying to get out of their national currency. I don't think that has a major effect on the actual, prices that are on Bitstamp, Bitfinex, and the major exchanges. It's mainly the, market manipulators, the market makers, the people that are trading margin and trading millions and millions are more so affecting the price. Another thing to touch on, because we mentioned, a safe haven asset, Matty Greenspan, when I spoke with him, really went into depth about the comparison between gold and Bitcoin. And gold is a proven safe haven asset because it's been around for thousands of years and people have used it as a safe haven asset before. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it's only 10 years old. It came out during the last crisis in 2008. I think this crisis is going to be a lot worse than the 2008 one, but we really haven't seen Bitcoin at a more mature level go through a crisis like what we're going through right now. And I asked him, is the Bitcoin negatively or positively correlated to the stock market? If the stock market crashes, does that mean that Bitcoin goes up? And he actually had a great quantifiable answer where he said, it's really not that correlated. It's been somewhere between negative 0.3 and positive 0.3. But now with this coupling of the volatility in the stock market, it's moved towards 0.6, negative 0.6 and positive 0.6. So it still flows either way. It's not always negatively correlated to the market, as we saw last month on March 15th and March 13th, Friday the 13th, the stock market just did a complete obliteration. Bitcoin as well dropped from like 9,000 to 3,000. So that was a positive correlation. It was really interesting. So I think that there's no guaranteed correlation answer to where, you know, Bitcoin's going to continue going up because of the halvening, or it's going to continue going up because of the stock market going down, or because individual countries. It's definitely a factor of all of those things and the people that are trading margin and derivatives of Bitcoin.
What are your thoughts on the other altcoins and those? And I also include coins such as Ethereum and XRP. What are your kind of opinions on such coins? And have you got a particular fancy for any of them in terms of their projects or what they've got going forward?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great altcoins that are working on some really cool things right now. And there's so many to dig through, you know, but in terms of the top projects, I really do like Ethereum. I've been supporting Ethereum since it was 30 cents. And I'm really hoping that they can make their scalability solutions and grow to Ethereum 2.0, 3.0, and it continues to grow. And there's so much enterprise adoption with Ethereum. You know, there's the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance that has 600 plus major corporations from Samsung, Microsoft, everybody, you know, looking at Ethereum. It's being adopted by so many different corporations. And because of that Turing complete language and, you know, the functionality programming for smart contracts, it does have an advantage over Bitcoin, you know, and it has a speed advantage as well, but it's still not where it needs to be for global adoption. So I really do like Ethereum, you know, and it was interesting in 2017 when the Ethereum price rose, and it was, again, there was so many different factors at play, including raising capital through token sales and founders needing to pay their developers by cashing out that Ethereum, and people needing to buy Ethereum to go into more token sales. It just had this crazy effect on the price, you know. So, and there was a lot of price exploration going on. And I think that Ethereum and the other altcoins will get back to their all-time highs at a time in the future here. But currently, what we've seen with Bitcoin in the last month, Bitcoin has risen so quickly that although some of the altcoin trading pairs, that, you know, the USD trading pairs, it seems like they've gone up a little bit. Most of the altcoins are traded with a Bitcoin trading pair. You know, at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to have more Bitcoin than you started with when you're trading those altcoins rather than a fiat value. All of them have, not all of them, but the majority of them have just completely tanked because Bitcoin has risen up 40%. Imagine holding altcoins and if you're not looking at an investment horizon of, you know, 3 years, 5 years down the road, if you were looking for more of a short term, your investments in altcoins could be down as much as 40% or more because everyone's cashing out to try and go into Bitcoin. You know, you touched on Ripple as well. I think that they're doing a good job in terms of bringing adoption and awareness to the space. You know, there's arguments that libertarians and cryptocurrency maximalists can be made that it's not the exact same model as it would be as a fully decentralized cryptocurrency. And that there's Ripple, the company, and then there's XRP, the coin, right? And Ripple always makes a lot of partnerships with banks, but does that convert into those banks actually using XRP on a daily basis and the increased value of that? I'm not so sure, right? So because it is possible for banks to use Ripple and use the software, but use fiat currency to transfer and save money without actually using the XRP currency in the Ripple platform. So it's not a mandatory thing. So one doesn't always equate to the other. But hey, a lot of people are still hearing about Ripple and what they're doing, and that's helping the cryptocurrency adoption overall, and then people can learn the differences between the coins. I think that overall it's not bringing a negative to the industry.
I'm glad you mentioned adoption there just for a moment, because that's something I wanted to mention as do you think that the only missing piece of the puzzle is mass adoption right now? Because people still see cryptocurrencies as being linked to, you know, the dark web and people making it, you know, unscrupulous transactions. So what do you think it's going to take for people to be convinced and say, hey, actually, you know what, I want some of this? Because there was talk of Libra and that kind of fell through into the ether. no pun intended, but I think, do you think that it would take something like a Libra as an example use case for people to use as a gateway point into using cryptocurrency?
Mm-hmm. I think that everything takes time, and throughout the 90s, there was a lot of trial and error on terms of how we were going to have people use the internet every day, right? And it started with one simple web browser and making iterations because it's always slow. And we're still in the early days, right? And I think for mainstream adoption, we need to keep working on the fundamentals first. The scalability of Ethereum, the interoperability between blockchains, the user experience of applications, so that there actually is a use for when you get currency. And there is a use right now that if you want to transfer $100 million to across the world to Australia, with fiat dollars, you're going to be spending thousands and thousands of dollars in fees, and it's going to take a week. And with Bitcoin, and you can transfer $100 million for $1, and it'll be there in 10 minutes. So there's obvious value in that. But for everybody to be using blockchain technology, and of course, there is a difference between utilizing blockchain technology and utilizing cryptocurrency. And I think that's part of the awareness of the mainstream adoption, is understanding that there's a difference between the internet and using a web browser, right? They're related, but they're different things. So I think before, in terms of adopting blockchain, we need to fix the scalability issues, fix the user onboarding, and allow people to have a network that they know will run more optimally at really, really large scales than their private databases. And then start showcasing different use cases. For example, with Eventchain, we are showcasing creating a digital scarce asset like a ticket, so that you can have a single ticket for an event, and when you buy it, you can scan it and check that it's the only ticket and nobody's duplicated the ticket or resold it or printed more, and you're going to get to the event, right? It's a major issue that 12 million people in America alone buy a ticket, and when they get to the event, they realize it's a fake ticket that either was sold twice or somebody just printed out the ticket and made it up, and you lose all your money, right? So it's interesting that blockchain can branch out to all of these different industries, including something like the event ticketing industry, which you'd think has nothing to do with financials, or transacting in business. It's just like you want to go to an event, and hey, you can use this technology to verify the authenticity. So there's so many different use cases, but I think even with us, we were building on Ethereum in 2018, and then we realized, hey, the scalability of the current Ethereum protocol is 25 transactions per second. How, we have this technology ready. We have a DApp-like application where people can buy a ticket and scan it, but we're limited by the functionality of the Ethereum blockchain, because if there's a Jay-Z concert or a Justin Bieber concert and 1,000 to 2,000 people are going to be buying a ticket in the first 10 seconds, like they always sell out every time you want to go to a concert, the Ethereum blockchain can't even handle that amount of scalability. So how are we going to run a DApp and have mainstream adoption when the fundamentals aren't ready for that level of adoption?
I'm so glad you brought this up, because just last week we interviewed someone from a company called Utrust, who you can check that video here by the link here. And he spoke about how they were in partnership with a soccer team in Portugal, at Benfica, where they are basically their payment cryptocurrency partner, basically. And this is the first time this has been done in Europe, where they handle all their ticket sales, merchandise, club jerseys, food, you name it, insert, anything to do with the football team. Now, where I want to go with this is where Eventchain fits with this in terms of ticket sales, and you've mentioned it just now, but I want to get more in depth into this. So if there's no scalability at this point, using an example of the Ethereum blockchain, where do you think that you guys come in with Eventchain, like in terms of solutions providing?
Definitely. So Ethereum, although you need to have a lot of different pieces for adoption of, a widely used adoption of Ethereum. For example, one of the limits is the scalability. But part of the good part about Ethereum is that a lot of developers already know languages that they can just easily pivot to the Solidity language, which is based off JavaScript, to be able to develop applications really easily on Ethereum. And part of the goal of blockchain is to, if you have the App Store, the Google Play Store, you need it so that app developers can really, really easily make apps and put them on the store so that there's an abundance of applications of different use cases, right? So with Ethereum, it has that where you're able to start developing applications easily, and there's a great community of support, but it doesn't have the scalability. But there's other blockchains that do have the scalability, but they're missing some of those other pieces that Ethereum has. For example, when we saw that Ethereum had its limitations, we researched into alternatives that could solve these problems, and we ended up finding the GoChain blockchain. Now, the GoChain blockchain runs very similarly to Ethereum. It has a Go20 protocol that is actually 95% similar to Ethereum, but has been rewritten for scalability. And last I checked, it could do 13,000 transactions per second. And you can actually run an Ethereum node while you are validating on the GoChain network. So that actually saw, and we did implement GoChain and pivot into it with Eventchain. So we're able to scale and with our specific development team, integrate GoChain into the application so that we can verify the tickets using GoChain. And it's extra work because, we had to communicate with the GoChain platform and make sure everything was in line. And, they're not really ready. They have an enterprise clients that they're onboarding, and they have long business development cycles to help people onboard and use their technology. But they're going to grow to that point where Ethereum, they have a community that's as big as Ethereum, and it sort of just grows itself because it has the system development kits, software development kits, APIs, things like that allow people to just more easily use it. So, there are blockchains that are capable of doing ticketing large events that we are working with right now. It's just that we had to take extra steps to get that to work and be those early adopters. In terms of the ticketing part with events in Europe, sports leagues, things like that, our goal has always been to be very user experience focused and keep the blockchain part on the back end. We understood that people want to pay for a ticket with their credit card or PayPal, and they don't necessarily want to use Ethereum or GoChain token to pay for a ticket. Is a huge barrier to entry just to be able to use the blockchain. So adding a little bit of customer support and semi-centralization into the platform is a stepping stone towards full decentralization and using blockchain. And I think it's needed because people want to just pay with their card and just scan the ticket and see in layman's terms, oh, the blockchain says that it's legit. I don't really know how the blockchain works. I just want to go to the event and get a ticket. And I don't want to have to learn blockchain 101 and go through it for 7 years like Ashton has done. I've done all the hard work. I just want to put the app out on the front end and be able to show it without, it's like being able to drive a car without understanding how the motor works, right? Nobody needs to know how it works. You just want to be able to drive it.
Absolutely. And just going through your site now, and you've got quite a few, in terms of your popular events, a lot of them are very kind of geared towards crypto events, such as the Anarcho Vegas 2020 and the Crypto Vegas conference. Is that exclusively for crypto-based events, or are you looking to kind of branch out into different sort of events like concerts and sporting events, say?
Great question, Yusuf. We've definitely partnered up with a lot of blockchain-based companies and crypto events as early adopters. Of course, they were one of the first ones who heard, hey, there's a blockchain-based event ticketing platform. This is perfect. We want to promote blockchain at the event. It only makes sense that we would integrate blockchain into the ticketing process and maybe even accept Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies for the events as well. But we definitely haven't limited it to that. We do understand that it's low-hanging fruit and they want to use the technology. So there are a lot of blockchain and cryptocurrency events on there. But we've also hosted music festivals. You'll probably see Impact Festival there on the front page. We've partnered with esports events, just networking events, spiritual events, any kind of event that can go on Eventbrite can go on Eventchain as well. And they don't have to accept Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies for the tickets or use the blockchain part. It's more of a competitive advantage when you have a concert and you want to make sure that your tickets aren't being counterfeited, or you want to have better controls over scalping and things like that. But it's not mandatory. We, as I said, focusing on user experience, we wanted to make the platform integrate blockchain, but be as easy as something like Eventbrite, where nobody has to learn anything new. They can create an event almost the exact same way, but utilizing the better technology on the back end so that they can save money on their tickets, make sure that they're real and everything like that.
How did you approach a lot of these events and so on and so forth, especially the ones that are non-crypto related? How receptive were they to being willing to be partnered up by yourselves at Eventchain?
Yeah, great question. I think with this blockchain integration, it's great. It's a great kind of competitive advantage, but in terms of the marketing and business development sales cycles of actually getting customers to use it, you definitely need to approach it in a way that is non-tech related, especially in industries in like events where there's a music festival or there's, a spiritual event, and the organizer of the event doesn't even know about cryptocurrencies or blockchain. They may have problems with their counterfeit ticketing, but they are not a computer person, right? They're an event person. So how do you present this to them in a way that's not going to overwhelm them with having to learn all this technical stuff? And I think part of that is branding the applications as trusted, friendly, user-friendly applications that only utilize blockchain on the back end and really don't promote the technology and anything about it, and just say, the goal, the point of this technology is that it solves counterfeiting issues and can manage scalping better, and it uses advanced technology to do so. And by the way, that technology is blockchain, but you don't really need to know about that. All you really need to know is that using this, it's a trusted ticketing system that is going to save you money and save you hardship. And it's very easy to onboard, right? So it seems the theme is people will adopt blockchain when they don't know that they're using it. When they do, it's sort of like the early days of the internet, right? Nobody really cared about what the HTTP protocol is, or every domain name, like google.com, it actually has a DNS server that you could go to, 1.368.192. You type that in and it would actually show up with Google. But we've made it easy by just naming it Google on the name server, and people don't care about what's HTTPS protocol, all this other stuff. Although it does make it secure and better, they just want to type in the name and go, right? So I think, again, it's about the foundation of the blockchain, making sure that all those SDKs, APIs of the developers have done all the hard work so that the people on the front don't see any of that. They just see a straight line forward, and that's the easy way to go. And all the tech stuff is just sort of in the back.
Right now, do you think that we're heading into the 2.0 of blockchain, or rather a Web 3.0? What with it almost feels like there's an evolution even within blockchain, because you now have DLT on top of what was already there. So do you think that we are kind of evolving, if you want to put it like that?
Definitely evolving right now. I would say that it's going to be led by the financial industry. The financial industry is where all the money is. The central bank currencies and the derivatives market, the stock market, all of this will be influenced by blockchain sooner or later here. The central bank, with all of the printing of the US dollar that's been going on right now, the economic volatility, the uncertainty in the economy because of the coronavirus, and the few news stories coming out about eventually, every 100 years or so, something happens with the monetary system, and either we get a new gold-backed reserve currency, or it switches somehow, and eventually this is going to go digital. And already the American dollar, the Canadian dollar, and all these fiat currencies are like 80 to 90% digital. And because of the fractional reserve banking system, any money that they print, any money that goes into the bank that can be used 9 times over is all digital money. There's no paper that gets printed. It's not like we print 9 times more paper. It's all just numbers on a screen. So really, it's already all digital. Now it's just a matter of putting it on a distributed ledger rather than a private server at the bank, make it more distributed and have a triple entry accounting that can more easily account for all of the currency around. And I think that the central bank digital currency, that it's been a talk that China is working on it, America's working on it. That is essentially going to be a cryptocurrency. It'll have cryptography backing it. It may not have the same decentralization as some of the decentralized currencies like Bitcoin, but it will be running similar technology. And I think that's a major step towards using blockchain technology in all of these other industries. Is that plus the stock market will all be tokenized, because there's so many intermediary costs and transfer times, a T+3 with all these percentages of fees just for transferring things around. And on the blockchain, a lot of companies have already found out ways to eliminate 90+% of all these costs. So it's just a matter of the technology's there, the solution is there. How does it get implemented properly and in baby steps where they're starting to pilot it? I spoke on my channel recently to the Gibraltar Stock Exchange, and just below Spain, and they have already integrated blockchain into their exchange. It's a fully regulated traditional stock market, and they have a whole blockchain aspect to it. And industries like that are going to pave the way and will be used as use cases for bigger stock markets. Like in America, they'll see that there are benefits and through these pilot cases, and that will be implemented into the major financial markets.
Fantastic. So to wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add that I might not have asked you?
I think that we're at a major turning point right now because of this crazy pandemic, where a lot of people are getting interested in cryptocurrencies and the benefits that they might have. And there's so much to learn that even I'm trying to keep up, running a news company, trying to stay on the latest news. And they say that if you're not struggling to keep up with all of the news that's going on, you're obviously not looking hard enough. But at the same time, there's a lot of things going on. There's also a lot of people that can be taken advantage of because they just want to make a quick buck, and they think that, oh, Bitcoin just rose a lot, I should just get in right now, either buying in at the top or buying into some other investment scheme that's going to lose the money. And those things exist, outside of the cryptocurrency world and inside of the cryptocurrency world. So I guess, one of the mentions I wanted to just say is always be cautious and make sure that you always do your own research and put a lot of work behind the thought behind the actions that you take before you take them, because in cryptocurrency, it's you control your own funds. You don't have those fiduciaries that are helping you, and if you click on the wrong link and go to anything that's actually fake, then you may end up on the short end of a stick and either lose money or lose your personal information. And it's nothing to be scared of. It's just always being conscious of that, because as you start bringing the power into your hands, and that's what cryptocurrency is about bringing the power back to the individual, having the right to control your own data, to control your own funds. It also comes with the responsibility of doing so. And make sure that you are responsible and you're always looking out for yourself.
Fantastic. And if people want to reach out to you or find your channel or go to Eventchain, how can they do so?
Yeah, definitely go on YouTube, search Ashton Addison or Crypto Coin Show, and you'll see the interviews that I did recently. I just finished up one with Charles Hoskinson. There's Roger Ver, Brock Pierce. Did a really funny one with John McAfee recently, and he was hiding out somewhere in Asia. I'm not sure. So take a look at that. On terms of Eventchain, it's free to create free events and virtual events right now on eventchain.io, and you can use your credit card, or if you're doing a PayPal credit card, cryptocurrencies. If you have a networking event you want to post up, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, Ashton Addison on LinkedIn. And I would love to talk with anybody who's doing any cool projects in the space, hosting major events, or they're just looking to network a little bit more. I would love to speak with them. And so add me on LinkedIn or add me on Twitter as well.
Fantastic. I'll put all that below, and make sure you all subscribe to the Crypto Coin Show and like and subscribe our channel as well. So once again, Ashton, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Yusuf. Have a great day.
Awesome.
All right.